Then supposed to go yesterday.
Yeah.
What's that? It's no, I'm actually born with WestJet to yes to Frankfurt and then out from Frankfurt. I was with Air Canada, but you know what? I'm so in love with Air Canada. So,
As we were just talking
so
about.
sick of it. Nothing ever goes straight. Nothing ever. WestJet was great. The business class was so cheap. It was $1,500 plus 50,000 having options. Air Canada, it's $8,000.
That's very reasonable. That's very reasonable.
I just wonder though, like if their business class is like Air Canada's, like you know, you get a stool and a rope that. I just think, you know, WestJet is like just from here to Vancouver at the most. Or even Florida. Like, I don't think of them as being there, but they came up. Yeah, it's cute. They have pods. Okay. I'll find out. I'll report back. Let you know if my back hurts after.
Okay. Let's hope it doesn't. Okay, so let's get. Oh, sorry. Thought I did. Okay. So the question that we were dealing with over here is the Gizbar, the treasurer of the homeowners, the condo association, who loses the money. So we learned that anytime a person who is entrusted with watching money but gets personal benefit from it, he has the status of a shomer sachar, and therefore he's chayev for gneva v'abeda. He's chayev for theft or loss. He says, "V'ulam gam b'makom sheyesh gizbar echad kavua ve'eno mitchalef v'hu lo mekabel schar v'dino kishomer chinam." He says, but even in a situation where it's not like a rotation of members of the homeowners association, but let's say he's a permanent volunteer, he's not getting compensated, and you want to argue that he's a shomer chinam. Im muter lo lihishtamish bekesev litzrachav hayishiyim, if he's permitted to take the collected funds and use them for his own purposes whenever he's short, then he's going to be liable, because then he's considered to have the rights of use, and it's almost like he's a borrower. That if, as it says in Shulchan Aruch, hamafkid maos eitzel shulchani, maos shehem los chatumim uskurim, that if a person entrusts money to a money lender or like a bank, so in other words, it's not like the money is taped up in or tied up in a bag, but rather
It's not in the safety deposit box.
The money changer can put it in his regular funds. Yeah. Mod shehem lo chatumim skurim muter lo lihishtamesh bahem. It's permitted for him to use those funds. The kaven sheyesh lo et ha'efsharut lihishtamesh af al pi shelo yishtamesh b'foyal chayav b'gneva va'aveda. And since he has discretion to use it as at will, even though he's decided not to use it, but the fact that he has permission to use it means that he's going to be liable for theft and loss. And the Makor Baruch quotes the Shulchan Aruch that says, "Hayahanifkad shulchani al chenvani v'huvkad etzlo ma'ot," that if the person entrusted with the funds, he's watching the funds, is a money changer or a grocer or anything like that, and he was given money for safekeeping, unless the money is like in a completely segregated area where it's tied up, where it's clear that the person entrusted with the funds does not have use of them, it is implicit that the person collecting the funds can always use them to change money and to use them for his own personal benefit. Lefichach nasa alehem shomer sachar v'chayev b'gneva v'aveda afilu kodem shenishtamesh bahem. And therefore, he's like a shomer sachar because he's benefiting from it, from the funds, even before he even uses them, and therefore he's going to be liable for all theft and loss. It's even worse if he has used the money, because then he becomes like a shoel, a borrower, and he's going to even be chayav for onsim. Bottom line is that if a person's in charge of the funds that's collected by the homeowners association, Rav Sharaga paskins that he's going to be liable, and so that's the yeah.
It's basically, he's in charge, but it's going into an account where it's absolutely forbidden that you touch that account. That would be a more normal case, right? In a normal homeowners association, he does not have any permission to touch that account, other than the ins and outs of the business that he's doing.
Right.
Not for his own reasons.
In that case, right, in that case, and especially if they give him checks and stuff like that. So in that case, if he has no discretion at all to utilize those funds, then you might be able to argue that he's a shomer chinam.
Yeah.
And as a shomer chinam, maybe you could argue that he's patur from geneva v'aveda.
He doesn't say that outright. It's almost like that's the question.
Yeah. You sort of wonder why he doesn't make that disclaimer.
Unless that's not the norm.
Yeah, it could be that it isn't the norm.
Maybe that's Israel. It's not.
Maybe in Israel it's not. Okay.
I have a money changer in Israel that I use, and I leave money with them to wait until the dollar gets better.
Really? That's so interesting. So if his store gets robbed,
So
he would be liable.
But I don't know if he's using the money.
But
It's just
it
sitting
doesn't
there.
matter. He has the right to
He has
use the
right.
money.
We don't talk about it.
And we didn't hear it either, Moshe. Yeah. And it wasn't recorded.
This is Coleman's brother.
Yeah, in Ramat Eshkol.
I've used it for years.
Yeah.
So when they go up, he'll text me, it's good now, I'll cash it for you, and then he wires it for me to the account.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Okay. Okay, Mitzia shel hefker sheyesh aleha achrayut. That a lost item that was found, and there's some level of responsibility for this. I don't know what the title implies. I'm not sure what that means. But here he's writing a letter to, someone's writing a letter to Rav Shraga to ask him his opinion. Let's see how long this tshuva is. Oh, it's not a long tshuva. Okay. B'davar masha dibarnu odot misha matzah chayfetz mesuyam. Person finds a particular object. Shehachevra notenet alav achrayut lemeshech 10 shanim mitarich hayitzor. Oh, okay. You find a lost item that has a warranty on it. Okay, so let's say I find an object that has a warranty. So the company that manufactured this item provides a warranty for 10 years from the date of manufacture. V'habe'alim la'achar she'ishtamshu bo k'shei shanim. V'hamotzar hitkalkel hinichu oto liyad ha'ashpa. So here's the thing. Let's say it's a washing machine. Okay, a washing machine can come with a 10-year warranty.
Mm-hmm.
The darn machine breaks down after 6 years, and the owners get so frustrated, they say, we're getting rid of this machine, and they put it out on the curb. Okay? Yeah. Uba adam v'lakachet hachefetz. A guy comes by in his pickup truck, picks up the washing machine. Uba lishol, and now here's his shaila. What do you think the shaila is going to be?
Is the warranty transferable?
Is the warranty transferable? Yeah. Uba lishol ha'im mutar lo lageshet lechevra ulekabel motzar chadash. Can I get a new washing machine? Me'achar v'hachrayut hi al hamotzar v'lo al shem halakuach.
Who's going to repair?
Because the warranty is the company's pledge to replace the product, not specifically for that customer, but for the item.
You have to show a bill.
Do you?
Sometimes. I think so.
I have that case actually now. I just moved from the house and the rabbi who bought my house sent a home inspection. So the inspector checked the washing machine, the dishwashers, and they have a recall, both of them.
They're both under recall.
Yes, so he's gonna get new ones
Wow. Wow.
because they're under recall. So they have like
So
that.
on the
It's still in your house and it's still not Hefner finding it
Yeah,
in
but it's a
garbage.
different owner.
It's
Changed
a yeah, changed owner. So there is a similarity to this issue. Now, in that case, the company says we're responsible because of our reputation and because of the quality of the things that we make. We guarantee that this thing will last 10 years. So this guy's got a legitimate question.
Happens with cars all the time as well.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
right?
Okay.
You sell a used car, you would come with the original warranty. Manufacturer.
Okay, so let's see what Rav Shiraga says in this case. So he writes, Pashut she'aser lo lalechet lechevra ulevakesh motzar chadash. He says, well, it would be usher for you to bring the washing machine to the manufacturer and to request a new replacement. Ele imkein hu modia lechevra shehu matza et hachefetz v'zacha bo mea hefker. Unless he notifies the manufacturer, the company, that I found this and it was never mine before, and I happened to pick it up. If then they say, okay, we'll replace it for you, then totally fine. In other words, it's a matter of personal pride, perhaps, for the company. As long as you give them disclosure that you did not purchase this item. I don't know why you have to tell them that you got it from Hefker. Why can't you tell them, I received this washing machine. I'm not the original owner.
Shouldn't make any difference whether you paid for it or whether.
It shouldn't make a difference whether you paid for it or not. The company was already compensated for the machine. Okay. So Hagemara Omeret b'Masechet Kiddushin. So the Gemara tells the following halacha. Ger shemet ve'en lo yarshin. A convert passes away, he has no heirs. So what's the halacha when a person dies without heirs?
Gizbar.
It usually goes to Hefker. Ubo b'nei Adam v'zachu b'nichsei hager. Zachu b'mashe b'yadam. If anyone comes along that person's field and takes possession, they are the rightful owners. Aval im hayu bahem avadim gedolim zachu ba'atzman. He says, however, if there were servants that were living on this property that were the owner, that were owned by the ger, these slaves cannot be like picked up by someone who's hefker, by someone who says, I want to take possession of you. A person who's an adult slave immediately acquires their own liberation. And once they gain their own liberation, no man is allowed to enslave them. Kevin she'ha'eved haya below adon rega echad hu nasa hefker v'hu zacha ba'atzmo ayin sham. Why? Because since the slave was instantaneously freed upon the death of the master, the convert who passed away, then he becomes hefker and he immediately acquires himself, and no one can acquire him after that. Gam b'mikra dinan b'rega shebal hachefetz zaraket hachefetz v'hifkiroto. He says, and therefore you could make the same argument here. He says, the moment that a person discards the appliance by putting it out on the curb, he's declared it to be hefker. And zachta hachevra bischut shahaita lo lahachlif et hamotzar. The company, you could argue, has immediately acquired the right for that person to trade in the broken washing machine for a new one. In other words, as soon as a person discards the machine and makes it hefker, he has abdicated his warranty. That's the argument that Rav Shraga wants to make. He's abdicated his warranty and basically said, I hereby relinquish my rights to exercise my rights to a warranty. And so therefore the company gets back the warranty without having to replace the machine. That's his argument. It's different from Mordechai's case, where I didn't make the washing machine or the dishwasher hefker. I decided to sell all of my appliances to somebody else or gave it to somebody else. So there was at no point where the appliance was hefker.
So Hefker is the almost buying back.
See here, that's what he's arguing, is that once you make an appliance hefker, no one owns the warranty anymore. In other words, a warranty is transferable from one party to another. But once you make the appliance hefker, the warranty has sort of flown out into the ether. It's a dissipated warranty.
Abandon all the rights.
You've abandoned all the rights. So it hasn't been transferred to anyone else. V'yetera mizu hagemara omeret b'maseches bava kama. And here's another argument. The Gemara says, "Im adam nasan mashkam leger, hikim alimenu halva'a gedola." A person gives collateral on a loan to a convert who is going to lend him a significant sum of money. Okay, and then the convert umeis hager she'ein lo yorshim. The convert then dies without heirs. Now, of course, I want to be clear. This case is not that applicable, because obviously, if a person converts and then has heirs, so then this halacha wouldn't apply. If a person converts later in life and then really has no heirs, you still would have to abide by his will documents, and so.
Giving it Hefker sounds a little bit sounding pretty here. He has a will.
Right, if he has a will. I'm just saying that the way that the Torah is structured is assuming the person has not left any will that indicates that he's gifting his estate to somebody else. He just dies. So there's no heir. So what happens? So the Gemara, the Torah says, Kol hakodem zacha. Whoever,
Who's come first served?
Right. There is another halacha that if you steal from a ger, and then the ger dies, you have to give that to the temple to do tshuva, right? That's in Parshas Naso. But this is where you didn't steal it, you have nothing to do with him, and you discover that this doesn't belong to anybody. Okay, so anyway, Ubo Yisrael Acher v'lokach es hamashko. So another Jew comes by after the ger has passed away, and he takes possession of the collateral item that I had given him when I took the loan. So motzian oso miyado v'notnino tolu bal hamashka. What's the correct halacha in that case? In that case, we take the collateral item away from the finder and we give it back to the debtor. Okay, the guy who originally owned it. Vahatamhu kaven shemeit hager haka shibudo shel hager b'nichnas l'rishus haba'alim. The argument there is the way that Chazal look at it is that once the ger dies, his lien on that collateral has also evaporated with him. And so what happens to an item that is under the ownership of the debtor? It's owned by the debtor, but it's in the possession of the creditor, and the creditor loses that lien that he has on that property has dissipated. So it immediately goes back to the debtor, to the original owner. Because so Tosfos writes, this is true, that even according to the opinion in the Gemara, that a creditor actually acquires the collateral once he takes possession of it. And so Rav Shraga wants to make the following analogy. He says the analogy that he's making is that the washing machine really there was sort of like a debt that the company had to replace the washing machine that is implicitly held by the washing machine. It's almost like you look at the washing machine as having a lien on it by the who's the lien holder, the manufacturer, that if anything happens to this washing machine, they have to replace it.
Shouldn't matter who owns it.
So
It's not
right.
Intrinsic.
But once the washing machine loses, the manufacturer's not the one with the lien on it. The customer who purchased it owns the lien on this product, has a lien on this product. So if anything happens to it, he gets to get a replacement on it from the debtor, so to speak, which is the manufacturer. So the way it works is that once the customer makes the item hefker, the customer loses the lien, just like the deceased ger, and so that lien evaporates, and so therefore the manufacturer no longer has an obligation. It's a bit of a loose analogy, but it's interesting. I see the word, I see his thinking. V'chein pasak maran b'shulchan aruch v'zel l'shona, and that's how the Shulchan Aruch paskins. Hazocha b'shtar hefker shechaver hifkir shtaro, eno kona al yado milva haksuva bo kevin shein das acherim makna akam l'shona. That let's say a person finds a hefker promissory note. It's an IOU. It doesn't say IOU Bob. It says IOU, right? I owe the bearer of this note $100, and I find it because a person made it hefker. So can I use this IOU to collect the $100 from the person who wrote it? The Shulchan Aruch says you can't, because you need someone else to transfer ownership from party A to party B. It's one thing if party A, who's the owner of the note, gives me the note. If they give me the note, so then they've transferred their right to collect using this note. But if someone has not transferred it, but they just throw it away, they decide, they crumple it up and toss it in the garbage. I've seen the guy do this, and I take it out of the garbage and I want to use it. Doesn't work, says the Shulchan Aruch. You need someone else to transfer ownership.
Modifying this the washing machines was properly transferred.
He transferred ownership, and that's why it's different from a hefker machine. The hiksha b'shach madu tzarich hatam she'ein das acheres makna. Harei belav hachi lo yochol liknos es ashtar. He says the Shach asked an interesting question on that halacha in the Shulchan Aruch. Why do you need the argument that there was no transfer of ownership from party A to party B? You have another argument, which is the finder of the crumpled promissory note cannot acquire it. Ki beregeshu hifkiris ashtar zacha halova b'masha biyada. As the moment that I throw the promissory note in the garbage, the debtor has sort of reacquired his debt. In other words, the debt has dissipated. It's evaporated. Behavi raya meha gemara hanal, and he brings proof from this Gemara that once the ger passes away, the lien that he has on that property has fallen off. Just like a person who makes a promissory note hefker, the lien that he has on that other person's property based on that promissory note has evaporated. And the Shach simply writes that the case over there is where the promissory note is to collect from a non-Jew, and in that case, the lien does not evaporate. But he says but it's a unique reason when it comes to a debt that is owed by a non-Jew. But he agrees that in the case of a debt that's owned by a Jew, you don't need to come on to the reason of there was no transfer, but rather the reason is very simple. Once you make a debt hefker, the debt dissipates. So if a person finds that debt, he cannot reclaim it and regenerate the debt. And it's the same thing with a warranty. A warranty is basically a company which has indebted itself to the purchaser of that appliance or the owner of that appliance. And but once the appliance becomes hefker, the debt that the warranty represents has flown away. V'chein kosav b'sefer hatrumos huva b'beis Yosef Choshen Mishpat Siman Reish Ayin Hey. The mistaver dim yesh leger shtar chov al mashkonot karka muzeket dino kemashkon metaltalin says if a ger has a promissory note that entitles him to a lien on certain collateral properties, then it is like so we say that it's like he has it's as if he has a collateral item itself in his home. The berega shemeis hager paka shibuda v'habalim zachabo miyad. That as soon as the ger passes away, there's no heirs, and therefore the lien that he has becomes hefker, and it completely dissipates, and therefore the property is now goes back to the original owner.
Before he was there, after he retired, because maybe he has kids from. when he was
Non-Jewish
growing.
kids, you mean?
Non-Jewish kids are not halachically considered his heirs.
Okay.
He would
Not
have to
anymore.
have kids
Mhm.
after his gerus.
No, but he took the loan before he became a guy.
He borrowed money before his gerus.
He was MacGyver.
If he
I'm sure
took
these
the loan,
situations come up in Israel, Rabbi.
if he took the loan before his gerus, then you want to argue that his heirs are considered his heirs from before. It's an interesting question. I'm not sure how that would work. If once he's Magayer, though, is there now a severance between himself and his non-Jewish heirs vis-a-vis the loan? It's an interesting shaila. I'm not sure. Okay. Now, so therefore, to answer the first question, guy puts a washing machine out on the curb and makes it hefker. The company is no longer obligated. Their debt to replace the item has dissipated, and therefore you can't automatically expect them, with your righteous indignation when you schlep the washing machine back to the manufacturer. And
The neighbor says, hey, do you mind if I take it and use it once he's hefker, and he asks like sort of a conditional transfer between.
if the neighbor says, hey, why are you wheeling that washing machine out onto the curb?
Still good.
Stop, wait, I want it. I'll take it for parts, So at that point, he hasn't made it hefker yet because he hasn't put it on the curb yet. So he's transferred ownership.
So it's legit.
Yeah, that's right.
But very often, people who drive by and they come in and they're not gonna go and say, can I take that?
They're doing it as a courtesy because they don't want to be accused of theft afterwards. But the truth is, once you put something on the curb, you've made it hefker. Yeah. I guess it could be confusing if you leave a lawn ornament on your front lawn. See, you left this gnome on your front lawn. Can I take? Yeah. Umasha kasav kvod tarasa shelager lo haisa shum zuchus shel bailus elashibud bilvad masha inkin benidon didan. So you want to argue, right? Rav Shraga says that the cases are not analogous, right? When a ger has a lien on a collateral property, he never really owns the collateral. But when a customer owns an appliance, he has a lien on it, so to speak, so such that if anything happens to it, the manufacturer has to replace it. He not only does he have a lien on that appliance, but he owns that appliance. So maybe it's different. He says, "Ulafi divrei kvod taraso yetze shim hager kidesh isha b'mashkon ze'ena mekudeshes." So, by the virtue of your argument that you've just made, if a ger would receive collateral on a loan, and then he would take that collateral and marry a woman with it, she would not be married because, according to that argument, it's not his. However, the Shulchan Aruch paskins that if a person has a collateral item on a debt and he marries a woman with it, she is mekudeshes, because when you take a collateral item, you do temporarily own it. So therefore, your argument is not a valid argument. The ger is considered the owner during the times that he has the collateral. So therefore, it's no different from a washing machine. Okay, we'll hold it here. We'll finish this tshuva Mirz Hashem tomorrow. Okay, have a great day, everybody.